The newest Ghoul update has brought with it a whole host of new changes, including a huge change to what gear Ghoul characters will want to go for, and that's of course including what armor Ghoul players will want to go for. In this video, I'll cover the best armor options for your Ghoul character, no matter the playstyle, and this will not include power armor. I will have another video out soon. This just covers all non-power armor options that you'll want to have for your Ghoul character, no matter the playstyle. We're going to talk about both types of playstyles and what armor would be best for them. So if you're ranged or melee, it doesn't matter. We got you covered, like I said. But first up, we're going to talk about the melee because, in my opinion, there's really only one way to go, and that's the Vault 94 Thorn armor. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why the Thorn armor? And it's simple. There are so many different reasons, but I want to specifically take a look at the set effects that this armor has because they're perfect for melee, and they've never been more perfect than with the most recent couple of updates because it's light armor. But first and foremost, the set effects, you deal 250 extra bleed damage per melee attack over the course of 10 seconds. Now, that just is basically an extra 250 damage just straight up over the course of 10 seconds. So if you're going after a larger enemy, and if you run after him with an auto axe, you'll get some extra bleed damage. If you're going against a smaller enemy, and if your auto axe can't one-shot them, then this extra damage may help push you over that one-shot threshold, which is what we're all aiming for with our ghouls. Regardless, it gives you an extra 250 damage. There's no point in not taking this because it is just a set effect and it's just a flat 250 damage. Now, you also deal bleed damage to enemies that attack you using melee. It's not the best damage in the entire world, but it can take out lower level enemies and weaker enemies. Specifically, if you run around in White Spring and if you just let all the ghouls hit you while you're constantly healing or anything like that, or you're popping toxic goo, you will be able to kill all of the ghouls without moving. It'll just take a little bit of time because it's not doing that much damage. But like I said, you do extra damage per every single melee hit over the course of 10 seconds. So if you're using an auto axe, this is broken, or if you're using a chainsaw, it's broken. It's a really nice combination. And also, every time someone hits you with a melee attack, they will be taking extra bleed damage, which may just save your life because you turn around, you hit a super mutant, suicide or super mutant. You don't get a chance to one-shot it, but that extra bleed damage takes them out. Boom, there you go. Now, on top of all of these reasons, let's look at the stats. It has little to no rad resistance, which is perfect for keeping your ghoul topped off for extra DPS. And like I mentioned earlier, it is a light armor, so the evasion and hyper reflex dodges will have a low cooldown. In my opinion, these reasons make this the best armor set in the entire game for melee ghoul characters. It's not the best for range builds just because you won't be getting that extra bleed damage unless you use a melee weapon, so you're missing out on that. But I promise you, this is probably the best overall melee armor for ghouls in Fallout 76. It's light armor, it has the evasion upside to it, and also you deal extra bleed damage while using a melee weapon, and also you deal extra bleed damage when you get attacked. So it's kind of a win-win on all fronts. Plus, ghouls are extremely tanky, so you'll be able to sit there and get whacked till no tomorrow. So now that you know my take on the Thorn's armor, why I love it so much, and why I think you need it for your ghoul melee characters, let's talk about how you can get it. And unfortunately, it is a bit of a new grind for newer players to get it. It can only be obtained from one of two sources, both requiring a little bit of gold. The main way you could get this bad boy is by purchasing it from regs in Vault 79 with gold. You can also obtain the full set from Minerva if you're lucky, or just wait it out until the next time that she has it. But again, it may be a couple of months. I will leave the Nukanite Minerva thing in the description so you guys could possibly check when you're viewing this video to see if she is selling it in the next couple of weeks. But as you know, she has a rotating inventory, so it is a little bit a tall task to be watching this and then also having her sell the Thorn's armor, unfortunately. So good luck with that. But without the Minerva discount from Regs, the full set will cost you 4,000 gold total. Now, how to get the mods? Moving on to the mods or the plans for this armor, this is where things get a little bit tricky, unfortunately. It's not as straightforward as just buying it with gold or anything like that, but you can still purchase it. Now, the only way you could obtain the mods for this set of armor is by purchasing them with caps from the modus in the White Springs Bunker Command Center. So you have to have completed the whole Enclave storyline. You can, though, get someone to trade it to you. So if you are a lower level and if you somehow got this thing without completing the Enclave storyline, you can just have one of your friends or just have a random go into the command center, buy it with caps, and then sell it to you or trade it to you. But these mods are super weird because they also double over as the Scout armor mods. Bethesda got kind of lazy with this one when they came out with the whole entire Thorn's Vault Raid armor, but I suggest you buy the polymer mods along with the pocketed mods, extra damage resistance, and carry weight. It's the best mods for the armor by far. Some people like dense, but it's not needed for our ghoul characters, so I think it's just kind of a waste. I would highly suggest you use polymer, and then also use the pocketed mods, and you will have basically a great melee set of armor with almost no rad resistance, and that is light, so you could evade basically every 1 second. It is pretty overpowered, like I said, if you are speccing it right, and if you have all of the right effects and everything on it. I will have a new video out on what effects you want to put on your legendary armor and power armor for ghouls, but this time we're just talking about the armor. So the Thorn's armor, without a doubt, best melee armor for ghoul players. Like I said, I'll have a video out on effects soon. But you'll be doing extra bleed damage on each melee attack, and you'll also be doing bleed damage to anyone who attacks you. Try to buy the polymer mods along with the pocketed mods, and yeah, that's by far the best melee armor for ghouls in the entire game, and for most characters too, because it does just give you extra damage, and Secret Service is kind of losing its top spot. But nonetheless, moving on to the best armor for ranged ghouls. Now, there are some more options, but unfortunately not too much has changed from the normal meta of Fallout 76, but you may want to make some tweaks now moving into the armors that you want to get for your ranged ghoul characters. The first set of armor that I want to talk about is going to be the Secret Service armor. It's the most meta armor in the entire game, and it definitely has that title for a reason. So it's super easy to get, it has great protection, and it's super adaptable. I would use it on my ghoul characters, but it just has a high rad resistance, so that's one negative that is with it, which doesn't help the whole entire glow thing and the quick heal. It doesn't offer that extra melee damage, but if you're using this for, again, a ranged ghoul, then you don't need any extra melee damage, so why not turn yourself into a full walking tank? Some people already have Secret Service armor, and if you already have your Secret Service armor that you were using on your normal character, you can go ahead and use it on your ghoul character. You just may want to switch from Unyielding, which if you were a bloody build, to probably Vanguards or something that would offer a little bit more protection. Unfortunately, Unyielding just is the best legendary effect in the game for armor, so it is going to be a little bit of a big hit for you when you take it off. But go ahead, throw some Vanguards on your Secret Service armor, and you're good to go. It'll be probably the best armor that you could go for. There are a little bit better if you're going to be nitpicky about the rad resistance, which we're going to talk about. But Secret Service armor, you could use it. It's no real big surprise there. How to get it, like I mentioned, this set of armor is super easy to get. Just purchase it from Regs in Vault 79. You can purchase the entire set for 4,250 gold. So with the Secret Service armor, all of the mods can be purchased from Regs at Vault 79 for additional gold. You don't have to buy them all, just all the ones you need for your build at the time. I suggest you go for the pocketed mods, obviously, because you will be, if you're switching from a bloody build to play a ghoul, you will be giving up some strength with your whole entire Unyielding set when you swap over to Vanguards. So just keep that in mind, and pocketed is a nice way to get some extra carry weight. Deep pocketed, I believe, is the best one for Secret Service. And then also you could throw whatever else you want on the torso. I suggest maybe you go with a jetpack just to have a little bit of fun. You're going to have if you're using a ranged ghoul, you're probably using it for VATS anyway, so you might as well just turn yourself into Boba Fett from Star Wars and just jetpack around with some revolvers and call it a day. So there you go, Secret Service armor, definitely not bad. Everyone should know about this armor. It is the best armor set in the entire game, or at least has been for the last 7 years of this game's existence, but it still works for your ghoul character. You just will have to change it up a little bit. It does have a higher rad resistance, like I said, so you may want to keep a handful of toxic goo on your character at all times that you could throw on your hotbar and then just instantly spam. Just so that you could keep your rads up, or again, keep a gamma gun on you and just constantly shoot the floor. But you will have a higher rad resistance, so you will be going through more gamma rounds than usual. Just keep that in mind. The next set of armor that I want to talk about is going to be the Civil Engineer armor. If you don't know the Civil Engineer armor, it was added with the Atlantic City update, and it has two main advantages for your ghoul characters over the Secret Service. First off, it's a light armor, so it's much better for evading. If you don't know, they changed how the whole entire evade perk works. With light armor, it's every 1 second now it procs, and then with heavy armor, like Secret Service, it's every 5 seconds, I believe. So it's better for dodging. It truthfully depends on your playstyle, what you like more. If you like having a little bit more survivability with your health, or if you like having a little bit more survivability with your dodge and luck chances. And then secondly, it has a lower rad resistance than the Secret Service armor, which is extremely helpful for your whole entire glowing thing, and you're shooting the ground with your gamma gun in order to keep yourself irradiated. The Civil Engineer armor is significantly better than the Secret Service in that regard, and again, it is a light armor. It is becoming the more meta armor. People just don't really want to switch over from the Secret Service yet, which is completely fair, but a lot of VATS players tend to use the Civil Engineer armor. I switch between the two because both of them are pretty situational. But you could get the armor simply by just completing the Atlantic City quest, the world stage. So just spend 30 minutes knocking out, and boom, you have what is now considered to be the best armor in Fallout 76. But again, it is a very debated topic. And of course, you could get all of the mods for the Civil Engineer armor from Giuseppe in White Springs by purchasing it with stamps. And they also have a small chance to drop from expeditions. But again, it's a small chance. Just buy them with stamps. I suggest, again, you go with the pocketed and whatever else you can, or whatever else you want to, for the mods on this bad boy. Again, like I said, you're going to be switching over from a bloody build most likely to a ghoul build with full health, so throw vanguards on this bad boy. I'll have a video on why that's so perfect soon. But yeah, you're going to want to go with pocketed to make up for the lack of strength that you're going to be giving up with your unyielding armor, unfortunately. Moving on to the last set of armor that I strongly recommend for all ghoul range builds. The final set of armor that I suggest you go for your ghoul character that is a ranged build is going to be the Brotherhood of Steel Recon armor. If you know, you know, but there are a few reasons that makes this armor so perfect for your ghouls. It's just unfortunately a huge pain in the ass to get. So I personally like it because it has a extremely high damage resistance, so you'll be a walking tank pretty much just like with the Secret Service. But it also has a significantly lower rad resistance than both the Secret Service and the Civil Engineer armor. So if it wasn't so hard to obtain, I would say this is probably the best ranged armor set that you could get in the game for your ghoul character, specifically for your ghoul, not your non-ghoul characters. Now, Civil Engineer, you may be able to argue that it is better, but again, it still has a slightly higher rad resistance than the Brotherhood of Steel Recon armor, so you will be losing out on some, like if you're running a gamma gun build like I do, this is the perfect set of armor because it basically doesn't really have a rad resistance for your ranged ghoul, so you could constantly get all of the additional glow benefits and everything like that. So like I said, unfortunately, this is a huge pain in the ass to get. There are two ways of getting this armor, and both are RNG based. The first way, you can get the plans from daily ops, but the loot pool is pretty crazy. You only get one plan per day, so good luck. This is really the more difficult way to get this. I got like 3 pieces of the armor, and then I could not get the other 3 pieces no matter how many times I did daily ops. Now, the second way that you could obtain it is from Minerva, but you know how that goes. It doesn't appear too often on the list, unfortunately, so you kind of just have to play it by RNG. I'll leave the Minerva Nuke and Knights article or website in the description so you could track her to try and get this armor, but definitely keep an eye out for this armor. If you don't have it right now, this should be the one that you should go for. It has a nice damage resistance. You could throw vanguards on it and it would be perfect, and it has a much lower rad resistance than all of the other armors. However, if you only have the Secret Service armor, use the Secret Service armor. It's not going to make that big of a difference. But for the Brotherhood of Steel, you could get the mods simply from just purchasing them from regs at Vault 79. I wish that you would be able to get the mods or the whole entire armor set that way, but unfortunately, Bethesda had different plans for you. You could only get it from, like I said, Daily Ops or from Minerva. The plans, though, just go to regs at Vault 79. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen of the Wasteland. We made it to the end of another Fallout 76 video. I hope you found it useful. What armor set are you going to be using on your ghoul character? What type of playstyle are you using on your ghoul character? Like I said, personally, if you're going to be using a melee build, I suggest you go with the Thorns, and if you're not using a melee build, I suggest you go with the Brotherhood armor just for that lower rad resistance. But truthfully, at the end of the day, if you could get any of the armors on this list, it doesn't really matter. Or if you're stuck with Secret Service because you dropped all of your eggs into that one basket a while ago and you just don't want to get any other armor, that's completely fair. Just make sure you change up the effects to Vanguard, and just remember, ghouls don't work on bloodied builds, so you may want to swap that around. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen of the Wasteland. Like I said, I appreciate you motherfuckers for watching this motherfucking video, and I will see you all in the Wasteland, hopefully popping with our full glowing bars and our nice armor. But seriously, if you guys can get any of these armors, go out and get them. They're all endgame armors. They all will be fine. Truthfully, it doesn't matter what armor you use on this list. It's just really if you want to be slightly more optimized or not.